actually going to print a little octopus that looks like this. And what's neat about this one in particular is that you can see the bottom's a completely different color, but it prints all of this in one piece. And then once it's done printing, those arms are segmented so they'll move. They have a lot of articulation to them, and it's fascinating that it can do that. You know, you would think that since it's melting plastics down, that once they reformed, it would all be solid and sturdy, but it's wiggly.
The Briggs Lawrence County Library recently opened the Briggs Makerspace at their Chesapeake branch. Gavin Boggs, IT Director and Lab Manager, offered us a tour.
So what it's going to do first and foremost is it's going to get all of its stuff heated up, because obviously it does have to melt this down. And then once it's done that, it'll make sure that everything's level, so nothing's a little off kilter. And then it'll start doing a couple of test runs over the surface to make sure that the first layer looks right and everything, you know, is laying how it should be. This in particular will take about an hour and 20 minutes. And I want to say I looked at the cost for something like this octopus the other day, and I think it only comes out to about $3. And this has been, oddly enough, a huge hit both between kids and adults. I mean, everybody loves this thing. So stuff like this is big for kids especially. They love these little fidget toys. This one also does it. This one's a little interesting because you can invert it and it'll still pass through. And for some reason they eat that up. They love it. And then, so we also have stuff like this where you can see that it's segmented. So this actually prints in about 20 different parts, and then you snap them together after the fact, and it moves around, and it stays together. But then we'll have stuff like this where you can come in and you can make your own page holder, you know, should you want that. So accessibility is a big thing with 3D printing too. So, you know, if you need help with your zipper, help putting on buttons, putting on your shoes, they have stuff for that. And we've also been looking into stuff like that for the community. Briggs Makerspace started with our director, who actually comes from a different library system. And in that system, they had something very similar to this. So when she came on, that was a big goal for her, was to get us something that, you know, our community could benefit from, like her old community did. So we applied through, I think, the Ohio Library, the state library, for an LSTA grant. And it was approved, and that's how we funded this entire thing. So we're obviously very grateful for that, and we think it's a huge boon for the community that now we can offer these things for free. It'll be really good for local schools, any sort of STEM programs that we have locally. We've had school children, we've had middle-aged people. I mean, just about everybody that I've interacted with in this room has some prior experience with the idea of 3D printing. I had one guy come in here that said his grandfather had actually purchased a 3D printed part for his dishwasher because it had broken, and that was the cheapest way to fix it. So outside of the class of children we had yesterday, we've had a couple of teenagers come in. We've had a handful of middle-aged people. We've had a couple of engineers come in to take a look at the stuff because they have similar things at home and they had some questions about it. Pricing-wise, it's not too bad. We basically are going to charge you as much as it costs to replace it. So the filament in the 3D printers is 5 cents per gram. Stuff like the Glowforge and those pieces get a little bit more expensive, but if you bring in your own material, we won't charge you to make use of our products. So this is our Fusion 3 Edge. It is the largest 3D printer you can get consumer grade. So anything past this is something you're going to find in a factory. This can print, I want to say, about 1 foot by 1 foot total coverage. It only uses one color at a time, but it's mostly made for prototyping. It's made for replacement parts. It is a workhorse, and it acts like that. This is our Glowforge, which is our laser cutter and engraver. It can do anything from wood to acrylic to leather to vinyls. So this is a camera, and what you do is you put your material in there, and then on the computer you can line up your designs anywhere on this surface, and you'll know exactly where it's going to go and how big it's going to be. And then this little black box here is our laser, and it'll go in and it'll cut out whatever designs you've put in there. So these are wooden earrings that we made from that material, and I think these took about 40 seconds. So I mean, it works fast. This bunny we also had made in there. This took a little bit longer, and then one of our staff members painted it for us afterwards for our Easter event. And the benefit of it being able to cut vinyls is if you come in and cut vinyls, then we have our heat press over here that you can press those vinyls onto t-shirts. So we can do all of that in-house from start to finish. This also allows you to press vinyls onto cups, and we also have attachments for ceramic plates and hats. And then back to our 3D printers, we have the Bamboo X1 Carbon, which is pretty much the go-to for hobbyists. What's unique about this one is that it has this AMS on top of it that allows you to switch between 4 collars on the fly. So if you wanted to come in and print something that was, a little more robust, this is the one you're looking for. And then last but not least, we have our Quilty, which is our lightest one, and it's going to be our traveling 3D printer that we will take from branch to branch. That way we can get people interested in what we have down here at Chesapeake that maybe doesn't want to make the drive yet. We have a lot of finishing tools too. So if you come in and you do want to make something and you're a little bit worried about how the end product looks, we have heat guns to help you with that. We have calipers. We have files and deburring tools. We even have a Dremel kit. So even if you don't want to make your project in-house, but maybe you want to put the finishing touches on a project you made at home, we can help with that. And we're more than happy to do so. We also have like soldering kits. So the computer is what controls all of these. So things like the Carbon and the Fusion 3 have some models baked into them, but they're limited in what they can do. So when you want to get a little bit more highbrow with it, you come over to our computer that we have, and it has all the applications already installed on there. And all you're going to do is go online and find whatever model suits your fancy. And the beauty of the internet is that there's a large, robust community out there of people making things. And once they've finished making them, they'll usually put it online completely for free. So these are all different 3D models that we've actually printed in-house before, and these are all things that we've just downloaded off of the internet. For things like our Glowforge, it looks a little bit more like this, and these are usually all made in-house by the Glowforge team. So you go on here, and thankfully we pay an extra premium for this, so you can use all of these designs for free. You don't have to pay for any of them. And you can really find anything that, suits your heart's desire that ranges from, knickknacks to earrings to more, traditional stuff like decorations. And it also offers its own design software, so if you wanted to, you could make your own. And it's really neat, and the 3D printer can do something similar where if you bring in a photo of something, you can print that. You can engrave, your child's face onto something. No problem. Our sign on the door, we actually made with the Bamboo Labs application. They have their very own design software specifically for signage. So if you want to learn how to do it, you're going to come in and basically I'm going to run you through the basics. I've got PowerPoints, I've got videos to show you, breaking down all the different parts of the machine so you understand, if it says hot end needs this, you'll know what the hot end is. If it says, there's an error with the filament, you'll understand what filament is. Those are all the basics, because I'm not going to expect you to, be able to fix the machine yourself, but I want you to be able to understand, this says it's an error. I should tell somebody about that. So once you've done that, I'll actually bring you into the classroom and give you some hands-on stuff, let you mess around with it a little bit, and then once I've okayed you, you're free to come in whenever you want, book the class for, an hour, 2 hours a day, and just go to town. Obviously, some 3D prints take longer, so if you want to come in and start a 3D print that's going to take 7 hours, start it, you can go, and we'll watch it from there for you, and then we'll hold it until, you're ready to come pick it up. So far, we've had good success with it. Everybody that's come in has figured it out pretty quick, because like I said, mostly it is finding what you want, downloading it, and then the printer handles it. If you wanted to get a little more advanced, we do have design software for 3D modeling. So if you wanted to come in and make your own thing from scratch, we do support that. I don't know how to do it yet because I'm just the IT guy, but I am working on it. So, but if you have a background in 3D design, if you could figure it out yourself, you're more than welcome to come in and use it for free. We won't charge you for that. And you could even teach me a thing or two, which would be great. Back when I was a kid, I never would have imagined stuff like this, but seeing that it exists, and being able to get your hands on it really changes the game. So, and I've even seen stuff where, out California way, they're 3D printing houses. Now, obviously, they're not doing it out of plastic, they use cement, but, you know, seeing those large-scale machines running back and forth, you know, printing a house is crazy. I never could have imagined something like that. Being able to provide experiences like this and, you know, give people an idea of where technology is moving, I think is, you know, really helpful. It's going to pay out, you know, big time. Everyone that's seen it has found it fascinating. I mean, me included.